Hi, my name is Ehsan, and in this video I'm going to show you how to write the introduction for your research paper. If we go through the list of the videos that I have created so far, this is video number 13, and introduction comes right after the abstract. Again, if you know which journal you are going to submit your paper to, you can go to their website and read the guides for authors, and that way you don't miss any point that they have mentioned on their website. But what is the introduction? Introduction is the story that you want to tell the readers about your research and say what's the reason you have done this research and what's the importance of your work. It's a simple crash course on the background, and it also tells the readers why you have done this research. I'm pretty sure you have seen this before in the previous videos. The gist of the introduction is why was this study done? Why you try to do this project, right? And I have listed 5 key points that I do like to dive in and explore it for that specific examples that we had. We said as one example, we took one apple, we could do a genetic manipulation and change it so it has vitamin D and it also has 2 colors, right? So that was an imaginary examples that we had, and now I'm going to use that and write an introduction that covers these 5 key points, and I'm going to explain one by one why we have written this portion for the introduction. So let's dive in. That was the examples that we had, and this is the introduction that I want to explore. So I'm going to zoom in and tell you all these 5 key points that we have here. So we start with introducing the main point, and then we are going to give a summary of the previous research, and then we are going to say clearly what problem we are going to solve, and then we are going to explain the hypothesis that we have, and later we are going to say what's the main purpose of your study. So you have to cover these 5 key points in your introduction. So let's dive in. I'm going to start with the introduction of the main topic. So here you are going to see many sentences. I'm not going to read the sentences for you. You can pause the video and read it. I'm going to tell you what's the gist, what's the point of writing that sentence, so you get a sense that what comes to my mind when I'm trying to write an introduction. The first sentence is when I start by saying why vitamin D is so important and we have to pay attention to. And then I'm going to show you that it's not just important, it's a major worldwide problem that we have to solve. And then I'm going to point out the gap. What's the gap? The vegetarians and vegans, they do not have many options when it comes to vitamin D. So I'm going to cover that. And then I'm going to connect this to the current trend that people want plant-based solution. And then I'm going to justify why I picked apple to do this research on. And then I'm going to clearly explain why I did this research. And then I'm going to tease the interesting results that I got. Not just vitamin D, but some cool extra stuff that we got while we are doing this research. So up to here, we introduced the main point, which was the first key point for your introduction. Now we are going to go to the second key point, which is you are going to give a summary of the previous research on this topic. So I'm going to start with the first sentence. We are going to set the stage and we are going to build what already has been done on this topic, right? And then we are going to give some relatable examples that other researchers have done. And then we are going to emphasize on our innovation. No one done much on vitamin D. And then we are going to show that others have tried but not successfully were able to do this. And then we are going to transition into the second research topic, which is the color of the apple, and we are going to explain why this color change is not just something that looks good on the apple, but it's going to build the trust and the transparency with the customers when they see that apple with two colors, they know we have genetically modified that apple. And then we are gonna say, here is what is original about our research. We have combined a change in the color with increasing the vitamin D. Now we are gonna go to the third key point for the introduction, which is we need to clearly say what problem we have solved with doing this research. So we are gonna spell out the gap of the existing food options, and then we are gonna critique the current solutions and saying that they are not good enough. And next, we are gonna point out the lack of visible difference between the genetically modified fruits or any products can hurt the trust. And finally, we are gonna wrap up the problem and say why we do need the function and the form at the same time. So this is gonna be the third key point. And now we are gonna go to the fourth key point, that is explanation of your hypothesis. So we are gonna start with laying out our idea and saying, this is what we thought might work. And then we are gonna acknowledge the potential side effects, good or bad, that we want to explore. So this was the fourth key point. And now we are gonna dive into the last one, the fifth, which is we are gonna explain the main purpose of our study. We are gonna start with stating the big picture purpose of our research. And then we are gonna introduce our findings with a positive lead. And we are gonna list them here. So I'm gonna start with saying that we have a unique taste here. And then I'm gonna be honest about the potential downside. So it's gonna build a credibility here and transparency. And then I'm gonna mention a practical farming benefits for whoever wants to grow this kind of apple in a cold area. And then I'm gonna mention another farm and market benefits, which is the uniformity, which is gonna save their time and money. And then I'm gonna be realistic about the challenges that we have, and something that we are gonna say that shows us that we are gonna thinking ahead of time, and mentioning this is gonna again make credibility to your research because you are honest with the readers. And then I'm gonna finish the introduction very strong by saying that this is not just a science project, it's a new way of thinking about food. And this is how I write an introduction. Again, this was for the imaginary example, but if you know all these steps, now you know how to write a very strong introduction. Just a few tips that I like to mention here again. You may have noticed it already, but let's point them out. One is make sure the introduction is about 2 pages, and make sure the spacing is double. So that gives you an idea how much you need to write for a good introduction. Again, this is not a golden number. You might have a slightly less or more than this, but this is what I keep in mind when I try to write an introduction. And how to make that double spaced, you go to the home, and then on the paragraph you can say, okay, I'm going to put this on 2, so you have a double space. The font is 11, so you know, you get an idea how much you need to write. Again, you have to write in a linear fashion, so you start from a topic and go all the way to what you have done. So you have to make that linear. Don't jump around, and having those 5 key points is going to help you to maintain that linear writing for your introduction. And do not think that introduction is like a second abstract. No, you have to follow those key points to make sure that your introduction is a very strong introduction. And last but not least, you know that in the introduction, you have to cite a lot of papers. The more, the better. It builds the credibility, and it builds that you have done your own research. You went and read other people's research and found the ones that are related to your project. So you have to cite those papers. And that's it. This is the end of video number 13. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to format your references for your research paper. See you in the next one.